Ladies and gentlemen, we just got so much stuff into Nintendo's Direct here today that we watched here on April 2nd here, 2025, talking about the Nintendo Switch 2, and we have so much stuff that we've got to talk about here. So without any further ado, let's just hop right into it. I was, you could say, tickle me impressed while I was watching the stream here on YouTube, except for that little freeze moment that you might have saw if you were watching it live. But we were given so many looks at the console. So many looks at what it can do. It looks very clean and very sleek. A lot of the different game styles that you can play with, a lot of new features that we'll be going over with, a lot of new accessories, and you know what? It just kind of looks like a really beautiful system. I'm not gonna lie, especially clicking it into the dock, playing in new resolutions, which we're going to go over here as well. The dock looks pretty good. The Joy-Cons look pretty promising that they're going to stay in. It's all magnetic based, so that's obviously going to be something that we're just going to have to play with here and everything like that too, to see if it's actually true. It's going to be a mouse. They went hard. If you guys were noticing during the stream or the direct, that they were just pushing that this thing is a mouse. They wanted you to know, including an exclusive game that uses both. I don't know if that game's actually going to turn out well. It looks like a tech demo, but they were going mouse features all over this thing. And so honestly, I've got a lot to cover here. Right off the bat, during the whole live stream, they really didn't talk about specs that much. I don't know if you guys noticed that here or not, but they basically talked that it's a bigger system, but it is the same thickness. Honestly, that's a check off my list here. I was hoping that it wouldn't be much thicker, because they could have went to like full Steam Deck style and just made it a big, chunky, beefy boy, but it's still as thin with a bigger screen, and that's honestly right up my alley. I love it. The screen is finally being updated to 1080p, which, you know, I think is going to be definitely needed. Except for, does it say it here? Guys, it's an LCD screen. I was actually kind of surprised on that, and actually I was kind of a little bummed, because they've already dipped their toes into the OLED market. And so I was just like, oh, this is going to be an OLED. And then when all of a sudden they hit us with LCD screen, I was like, that's really sad. Because, you know, to be honest, I have not picked up the OLED original Switch, and I was really looking forward to seeing what that looks like here with the new Switch. I just thought that was going to be a given. I don't know if anyone else thought that too, but we're getting an LCD screen in this, which is kind of a bummer, because I think an OLED is coming in the future, but I plan on still buying this day one. Of course, I'm going to want to talk about it. I'm going to want to talk to you guys about it and everything like that. But I feel like I'm going to miss out on an OLED screen coming in the future. We'll see. Unless they can really sell me in the future, but they didn't sell me with the original Switch to upgrade from the traditional screen to an OLED. So we'll see about that. And they definitely didn't talk about how powerful it was. They talked that you can enhance your games, but when you even look on their product page, it just says CPU, GPU, custom processor made by NVIDIA. It's like, okay, well, what are we getting? What can we compare it to? I was really hoping that they would say this is X times more powerful, which of course would probably be skewed to Nintendo's numbers. But I was really hoping that they'd say this is this much more powerful than the original Switch. Right now, we don't really have any of that to go off of, at least not what I've found. And I'm sure that there's leaks out there and everything like that. I haven't really been following the leaks. I wanted the news to break, but right now we just have custom processor made by NVIDIA. All right. And GPU there as well. 650 or 256 gigabyte. At least thank goodness they didn't go lower than that. 32 gigabytes on the original Switch was abysmal. And I think that 256 is kind of rough too. I'm surprised we didn't get half a terabyte, but Man, obviously you're going to need an SD card here as well. It's a given, which you're going to have to buy new SD cards for the system too. Man, I'm just surprised they couldn't put more storage into this thing. Nintendo is notorious for putting the bare minimum of storage in these things, and we're going to get 256 gigabytes here again. We'll see how fast that fills, I guess I should say. Wi-Fi 6, hey, perfect. Gonna outport here to 4K. Checkoff list item, is it going to make that much of a difference with Nintendo games? Maybe not. They usually look pretty good on my 4K TV anyways, but we'll see how an actual native 4K resolution at 60 frames per second looks. While handheld, they did say 120 frames, and in 1080p you get 120 frames as well, if you're wondering. So that's pretty dope as well. I think that's going to be great. But 4K, I mean, I was really hoping that they would not support 4K. I mean, we're so deep into the 4K ecosystem. I think it's they would have had to. We're gonna get multiple USB Type-C ports on the system for charging or your accessories. They're talking about their speakers are great. There's built-in microphones. I'm always skeptical about built-in microphones. They talked about their noise canceling and everything like that, but I can already imagine those loud game chat Fortnite lobbies where people are yelling and everything's going off in the background. They say there's noise canceling, but oh my gosh, if I'm playing with anyone with the built-in voice chat, I sure hope that you're using a headset. Unless they wow me with it here. Game card slot, exactly like the Nintendo Switch, it sounds like. Everything like that, great. All your basic stuff here from there on out. What do we have that's new? We have game chat. Ladies and gentlemen, Nintendo has finally given us game chat. Wow. And holy cow, I hope that you don't actually have to see everyone's faces, which that's only if you buy the accessory, or everyone's split screen like that, because they only really showed it off like that. And I'm going to still want to see the full game. Nintendo, I'm glad that after all these years, you have finally put in voice chat. Thank you. I don't know if I'll necessarily use it anymore, but it's like it's a given here at this point. So thank you for finally putting it in. But let's just hope that you can full screen your game here again once you're playing. It's going to be, they're putting built-in buttons on the controller. They're really going in on voice chat. They're really proud of this, obviously. And in fact, I'll talk about it here now. They're coming out with a $50 camera here as well, too. That way you can put yourself in some of the games and put yourself on the screen. I guess this wouldn't be too bad, but that would require every single person to buy a camera. And I can tell you that that's probably not going to happen. But either way, I'm still excited that they finally put in voice chat. It's a feature that I'm just shocked that the original Nintendo Switch did not get. Guys, we're getting Game Share, which is like a classic Nintendo DS feature here. But you know what? It's always, in my opinion, a step in the right direction. Game sharing, where you only have one cartridge and you can share multiplayer and play together, is a feature that they don't need to put in. And so I'm always excited when I see Game Share in. So thank goodness we have Game Share. We can play it together. If you are even over the internet, I believe, systems that can receive Game Share games. Over the internet here as well, by looks of some of them, and of course locally here too. So I love that we have Game Share here as well. I'm always a fan when you can do things like that. And then we've got some pretty banger games. Mario Kart World, which we're going to talk about pricing and stuff in a second. But Mario Kart World, when I was watching this trailer, I was like, holy smokes, this is actually really neat. They have a lot of things in here. Of course, just like any Mario game, they could copy and paste and honestly sell probably millions. But they're changing mechanics. You've got rail grinding and all this other kind of stuff. This map looks insane. It's literally a world by the looks of it. And there's free roam and the most karts that you can race on a race as well. A lot of amazing stuff. 24 driver races is what we're going to get. And nonstop Rally here. Oh yes, the rally system looked pretty neat here as well. And then free roam. I always thought we should have free roam in a Mario Kart game, and they're giving it to us. So I am all for this free roam, because if I just want to dink around, honestly, free roam, that sounds dope. I'm in full support of the free roam. Of course, you're going to get some wheels. What Nintendo console would launch anymore without a wheel attachment? We got a pretty dope looking Donkey Kong game. This one I was really excited about. It looks like it's finally like an open-ish world 3D and 2D Donkey Kong game here, and it looks pretty exciting. This is going to be kind of a big overhaul, in my opinion, for Donkey Kong, and honestly, I'm ready to pick this up on day one. I really like the looks of this, and I think it's just going to be a great game. So Donkey Kong, I was super excited to watch the trailer here for. We also got other games like Kirby Air Ride that is getting a game after, I believe they said 20 years. And so that's going to be great, especially for Kirby Air Ride fans that have maybe been hanging out and waiting for a game. I'm sure that you guys are finally excited to get one of those. Almost been waiting, it feels like, as long as, Metroid Prime 4 here for one of those. And we, of course, got a bunch of other games where they were talking about. Borderlands 4, Cyberpunk, Split Faction, Hades. They were just talking about a whole bunch of these other games. Welcome Tour for the Nintendo Switch, which I thought was going to be a free game. And it sounded like it's going to be a game that you have to buy. There's Kirby Air Rides. Here's the Drag and Drive. Very interesting. You're going to have to put a table in front of you and use both Joy-Cons as a mouse. And so, not 100% sure who's going to want to actually do that, but it's going to be a thing. And then they just kind of went through just a whole bunch of games that are coming, which, honestly, it looks like third-party support's pretty excited. And I know that Activision has talked that they're supposed to be bringing Call of Duty games to the Nintendo Switch. I'm actually kind of surprised we didn't see a trailer for that, but I'm going to guess it's coming at some point, especially if we're going to get Elden Ring and games like that coming. It was that, right? I'm thinking it was Elden Ring, but I think we're getting games like that over to the Nintendo Switch. And yeah, just a whole bunch of other just games. It's pretty neat, to see everything coming. Not too much, though, coming at launch from what I was hearing. They definitely didn't say we have a banger lineup launch of games. It's coming with Mario Kart 8, and then Donkey Kong's coming later. I still think that they spilled a lot of extra games that they didn't need to on the Nintendo Switch. I felt like they should have kept some of those so they could really just sell like a launch for this system. But hey, it's all good. They're doing an upgrade system. As far as I can tell, there is no cost tagged to this yet, I should say. There's going to be a cost, but I don't know how much this upgrade system is going to cost. Mario is like, say, Super Mario Party Jamboree. They were really pushing mouse features again in this one. And they just said, hey, you can upgrade, for a pass. And it's like, okay, but how much is the pass? Because, man, if we have to spend a lot more money in these games, it's just kind of a little unfair. I thought that maybe this will actually get me to play The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, because I actually haven't yet, but not all the way through. But that would be fun with the improved frame rate and resolution that they were talking about this. That might actually be pretty solid of an upgrade. Honestly, the upgrade system seems fine. You're going to get more gameplay features and things like that. Like Kirby's Forgotten Land is talking about new things coming to the game if you upgrade. So you're going to get more content and everything like that, but I'm just curious, how much is that upgrade going to cost? And speaking of cost, let's talk about some Nintendo Switch accessories. And this is kind of where I was actually getting a little blown away. Because the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro Controller is going to drop for $80. I just thought, man, that kind of hurts a little bit. Then I scrolled down, and the Joy-Cons, guys, they are going to be $90. Holy smokes. I already thought the Joy-Cons on the Nintendo Switch were a little pricey. I never picked up any additional Joy-Cons because even for collecting and stuff, because I just thought, wow, they're a little pricey. Even the straps for $12.99, guys. But I just thought, yeah, I hope that $20 didn't go into the mouse feature because I don't know if the mouse feature is going to work. But you know, we're rocking these at $90. Yeah, I hope that they're going to be worth it, but I just don't know where's like the cost cutoff for controllers because it's a little high. I mean, if you slapped in another $10 into this where they were coming out for like $99.99, that's just insane. But yeah, these are our prices here. We've got $34.99 for the charging grip. We've got the wheels for $20 and the camera for $50. Are people going to pick up this camera? I don't know. We'll see. I kind of want to pick one up because it's interesting. The dock is over $100 from the original Switch where it cost $79.99, except you know, it's actually got stuff to it. But at the same time, yeah, I don't know. It's actually got a fan in it, which is like excellent. So we'll see. We'll see if that's worth it. I thought $109 for the dock is a little crazy as well. But hey, these are our prices. I don't know if we got the SD card prices yet here, but that doesn't matter here at the moment because talking about this brings me to Mario Kart World for $79.99. Okay, wow. When I saw this, I was like, holy smokes. This better be the king end all Mario Kart game. Because it better have everything. Now, okay, now let me back this up here for a little bit because I am a believer that the $60 price point probably couldn't stick around forever. $80 seems a little crazy, but let me just talk about that here for just a second because we've been at $60 games for a long time, and everyone freaked out when PlayStation was going to up them as well. And, you know, it probably did slow down some games. But if you think about how long we've been at $60 games for the price of inflation, and I'm sure more people are buying games here now and everything, then sure. But I just want to remind you, and I'm not defending the price point here. I still think that's a little high, but unless we get it, and then it just wows me. But I just want to show you guys that Super Mario World on the SNES came out for $51. You can't quite see it over my head there, but $51.99 is what they cost when this game released, which was revolutionary for the time. Now, if you put that into an inflation calculator, which sometimes you can't do that hand to hand anyways, but just for the sake of it, we put that into an inflation calculator, and $51.99 on November of 1990 came to $123.98 in today's dollars. So, you know what? I mean, I'm just saying, you know, at the same time, like, are we lucky? You know, of course, I don't know what it is on the opposite side, obviously. I think Nintendo probably could have sold that game for $40, and it's going to sell millions of copies, more than likely, it's Mario Kart, over the next 10 years. So would they get their money back? Yes, obviously, I think. But, you know, $80 is a little high. It's going to be a big pill to swallow. But when you really actually think about some games that came out in the past, $51.99 was probably pretty bonkers back in 1990. And especially if that actually would equivalent to you dropping 123 bones on this game. So, like I said, I'm a defender that games probably couldn't hang around or stay around 60 forever. If Nintendo does that with all of their games, I'm going to disagree heavily. Because even when Princess Peach Showtime came out, and yes, I know everybody, I'm not probably the demographic for that game, but I still bought it. I don't think that was a $60 game. 40, I bet you could make an argument for it. $60 game, not 100% sure. If they released Princess Peach Showtime because it was on the Switch too and charged $80 for it, that's bonkers. But maybe Mario Kart is actually going to be worth the $80 price tag when you just look in the past on how games have cost a little bit. Like I said, I'm not defending that price tag. We're just going to have to see what it is when it comes out and see if we can justify it. There's talks that when GTA 6 comes out, it's going to be a $100 game. So, and honestly, they've worked on that for a long time, so it's probably hard to get their return on investment. Now, what is the cost on the actual Switch console? It is, for the base, $449.99. It's close to what I predicted. It's $50 over, though. I thought there's no way we're seeing a console under $400. I thought it was going to be $399.99. $50 more, I guess, isn't going to be the worst. But especially for that extra $50, I wish that it was getting the OLED screen. Once again, we just don't have much information to go off of. And I suppose if the Joy-Cons almost cost $100, then there's a bit of the cost right there in just Joy-Cons alone. But $449.99, it's fine. You know, I'm going to say that is fine. It's $50 more than what I wanted it to be. But when you think of everything, PlayStation 5 dropping for $500. What is the Xbox Series S and X? I can't remember what we've got, but the cheaper one, isn't that $300 or $400 and then $500 for the more expensive one? Something like that. I'm not sure what all those are. So I would have liked to see $399.99, but an extra $50 isn't going to completely break the bank. What I always like to think is that, you know, when you compare it to your other mobile devices and your phones that you probably have in your pocket, if you're rocking the new iPhone, you've got a $1,000 device in your pocket. So this is half the cost of that. And obviously it does way less. But so I think it's somewhat justifiable. I would have just liked to see the OLED screen in it. And then also, just out of curiosity, I threw that into an inflation calculator as well. The original Nintendo Switch came out in 2017 and cost $299. Calculating for inflation, once again, I don't know if you can necessarily calculate it or not, you know, in eye to eye, but $392. It's you know, technically it's a $100 difference from when we bought the Nintendo Switch in buying power. So maybe it's justifiable. So maybe it's actually the Nintendo Switch today would have cost $400 and there's extra money into the Joy-Cons, $500. So who knows? Either way, we've got everything that they talked about here today. I'm sure that there's more that I didn't fit into this video, but I wanted to really talk about the highlights. I'm excited. I'm going to pick it up as long as I can secure a pre-order, obviously. I feel like it's almost my mission to. It's that way I can talk about it on the channel. But I would also love to know if you guys are thinking about picking up the Nintendo Switch 2 here. Are things too expensive? Do you think that they're right where they need to be? Is the console what you wanted it to be? The one thing I was thinking was missing was Street Pass. I really wanted them to bring that back, but I guess you can't get everything. But either way, that is the entirety of the Direct that we just got here today. I'm still excited for it. I'm looking forward to picking it up. I just think you better start saving up a little bit of extra of your clams here right now, because when it comes around, you're going to be shelling out here quite a bit there. Either way, thanks everybody for watching, and hey, we'll catch you in another video. Peace.